Hello, my name is Rose Mirabai Lord. I am the director of the Women's Self-Reliance Program, and I will be the narrator of this video presentation. I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about two projects of Global Coalition for Peace, the Saffic Peace Gardens and the Women's Self-Reliance Program. These two projects are very closely related in that the Saffic Peace Gardens are the core of the Women's Self-Reliance Program. So let me begin by telling you about the gardens. The Saffic Peace Gardens are closely modeled after Mel Bartholomew's square-foot gardens. The only differences are in the soil mixtures and the fact that we use biodynamic seed. That is, seed that has been grown by a very special process, without any artificial chemical fertilizers, pesticides, or additives of any kind. We also use some special all-natural preparations on the compost and the soil, which we will describe further on. We're very grateful to Mel Bartholomew and the Square Foot Garden organization for all the wonderful work they have done in developing this intensive gardening technique, which has proven to be successful all over the world. An intensive garden, such as the Square Foot Garden or the Saffic Peace Gardens, is quite simply one in which the most produce possible is grown in a given space. Instead of long rows of vegetables and herbs, these intensive gardens are 3 to 4 foot square and are divided into smaller squares of 1 foot by 1 foot. A garden can consist of one such bed or many, depending on the needs of the gardener and her family. It has been demonstrated that this process will produce 5 times the amount that can be grown on the same surface using standard gardening methods. Intensive gardening is done on raised beds. The soil is double dug, meaning that the top 12 inches of soil is removed from the bed, mixed with generous amounts of compost, and loosely piled back into the bed. The resulting soil mixture should be fluffy and raised above ground level. The raised bed can be freestanding, but we like to put a solid frame of wood, stone, or brick around it to hold the soil in place. In hot, dry areas where the soil tends to dry out very quickly, a lowered bed may be preferable, simply because raised beds tend to get hotter and dry out quicker. With lowered beds, more soil is removed from the garden site, but the rest of the process is the same, resulting in a bed that is slightly below ground level. With intensive gardening, there is no scattering or wasting of seeds. The gardener plants only one seed for each plant she expects to grow. The seeds are spaced so as to allow each plant as much room as it will need in the garden, so there is no thinning. What you are seeing now is pictures of my Saffic Peace Gardens of the past several years at different stages of growth. Here you can see examples of different ways of framing them and creating the grids, and a lowered bed garden. In creating one of these gardens, we try to take as much advantage as possible of the materials that are naturally available in an area. One of the most important components of the Saffic Peace Gardens is the production of compost. Compost has a dual purpose. It improves the structure of the soil, in other words, makes it easier to work, and it provides nutrients for plant growth. As plants and organic materials contain different ingredients because they are produced in varied conditions and places, the more variety you use in your compost pile, the richer and more nutritious it will be. Regarding the garden preparations, there are 2 systems that can be used. One is the biodynamic preparations, which are an important part of the biodynamic farming process. There are 9 of these preparations, which were described by Rudolf Steiner in his agriculture lectures. Their purpose is to enhance the soil quality and stimulate plant life. They consist of mineral and plant matter and animal manure. They are usually fermented and applied in very small quantities to the compost, the soil, or directly onto the plants, after dilution and a special stirring procedure. These biodynamic preparations are often described as a homeopathic remedy for the soil. For more information on the use of biodynamic preparations, go to www.jpibiodynamics.org. The other system is called homotherapy. This involves a ceremony called Agnihotra. Agnihotra is the process of purifying the atmosphere through specially prepared fire. This healing fire comes from the Vedas, the most ancient body of knowledge known to man. Its enhancing effects on the soil and plant life are revolutionizing agriculture in several Latin American countries. The ash from the fire can also be sprinkled on the compost and directly on the soil. For more information on this process, go to www.agnihotra.org.